Sure. It looks like we've got a comment from one of our participants, and the comment is that expectations from candidates seem to be a little bit higher here recently, and a little unrealistic. Any reactions to that? Any reflections? I see Christy nodding her head. She agrees that there's been a little bit of a shift there.
I'm waiting for somebody to chime in. Mike?
Christy, go for it.
Yeah, I think and it's all ages, so it's not just one category. I think Joe would totally agree that sometimes entry-level candidates have very high expectations versus reality. Yet with COVID, we've seen a huge shift with people who used to commute over an hour, who are kind of like, I'm not going to commute anymore. People who used to be in the office every single day, even in manufacturing environments, who are now saying, I'll consider it, but I work from home, most of the time, and I only go in when I really need to be there. So we're seeing shifts, and especially with manufacturing and the need for the leadership team to know what's going on the floor, to be walking there, to have relationships with every employee, hourly, skilled trades, and salaried. It is a very interesting dynamic, I have to say. So I think others can totally chime in. I see Nicole.
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, for sure, when you're working in manufacturing, when you're supporting a facility that has folks that are on site that cannot work from home, it's really challenging if your entire salaried staff is from home. It honestly, in my opinion, in my experience, it just doesn't work. You need that interaction. And that's what I've consistently heard from my folks that are in the office all the time, working on the production line and working in our warehouse. They're saying, listen, I know these folks are here to support us, but they're not actually physically here. So it takes me so much longer to ask a question and find an answer. And that's something that you think about from, just an efficiency standpoint, and how much time are we losing on these different tasks that could be done a lot quicker if there's a question or if they need advice from someone or whatever it may be. And instead of being able to walk 20 feet up to the office and say, hey, you got 5 minutes, I've got a question, you're calling, emailing, texting, something like that, and waiting for a response. So absolutely agree with that, Christy.
I would agree as well. I would just say that there is a lot more variables in the workplace than there has been pre-pandemic, right? When you think about, who you've been losing candidates to, a year ago, 2 years ago, right? It's a lot different than it is now, right? Your salaried staff not only has all the offices around them that you might be losing them to, they can support a global marketplace now from home, right? So many large companies are keeping their workforces remote, right? And so you have to compete with the fact that there might be companies in California, Texas, Washington, Europe that are offering just as much money, but the guarantee that you stay home and support operations from there. So it's a tough marketplace with a lot of variables because of that. Obviously, on the shop floor, on the operations side, that is not work that can be done remotely. But are you putting things in place that put your staff at ease? Are you putting safety procedures and processes in place? Are you offering unique benefits that make going in more enjoyable than some of your competitors are, right? We touched on Amazon a little bit earlier, right? That's, you're competing with a tech giant there that has very unique offerings that you might not have, right? And so are you reevaluating what your offer packages look like, what your work environment looks like, to match that global marketplace of resources that are just putting way more variables into the equation than we've had to deal with in the past.
And I'd say, talking to Nicole's point, there's always been a little bit of tension between, the plant office and the plant production, on the floor. And from a culture standpoint, I think companies need to be really cognizant of that. It's, exactly to your point, Nicole, just because you can work from home as a plant controller or, accounting, whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that you should, because you're kind of creating haves and have-nots. with that approach. And so what can you do to, help create and make sure that the people are there and are available? It might not be 5 days a week, but it might be 2 or 3 days a week, but figuring out something to make it a little more equitable between production and the office side of things.